Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Shadow bringing you guys the last round to locals at TGS. Ended up facing a BY. They won dice roll, chose to go second. Obviously, that's the curve that they want. Kind of throws me off curve, but obviously, Smoker can go either or because I could find TCG, which is the main goal of it. You do see they did a Three Brothers Bond and found a 5-cost Sabo, which is what they want to do to be able to cycle. And you do see here, my brand new finds me the 5-cost TCG, so obviously that's an automatic grab for me, and especially in this matchup, I'll be able to remove all their 5 costs with my leader ability and the Tashigi. So I decided to swing 6. Typically you want to starve the BY, but I'll get the first swing in. I'd rather put some pressure, but after that first swing, I usually leave them alone because then they can self-awaken whenever they want. So it just depends on how they draw, essentially. So you do see he does a GARP and he's looking for pieces that he needs. Obviously, they want to look for the little brothers or the bigs, and he ends up grabbing the Egghead Luffy. And you see he does a Flampe and then swings for 7. I take the life. I could have countered out, but I'd rather take it to find whatever pieces I can. And at this point, since he did not play out anybody for the cost of 4, I decided to just play a Borsalino and pass. Borsalino is perfect in this matchup because, again, Egghead Luffy cannot pop the Borsalino because it cannot be KO'd on my opponent's turn. If I swing and it triggers out of life, it can pretty much get knocked at that point. But pretty much set. He swings 6. I could get out of it, but I decided to take it. I'm trying to find whatever counter I can. Pretty much playing pretty risky here. But I know once I kind of get to a point where I could cycle blockers in, I can pretty much leave myself in a decent spot. So I do play out the Tashigi, give that Nightmare Luffy -4, and then with my leader ability, give it the last one to be able to trash it off of Tashigi ability. And of course, I pass turn again. I don't want to put any pressure on the Luffy until I have a wide enough board. But again, it runs a risk because then if he could self-awaken himself, then I'm in for a world of hurt. But currently right now, he's just sitting at the 2 life. He hasn't decided to awaken yet. He's probably just waiting for me to start poking at him. But the thing what we're doing here is, since I'm just passing turn, he's not really wasting any cards on my turn. The only time is if he hard plays anything his turn. So I believe he's got he's got the Sabo that he searched from turn 1, I believe, off the Three Brothers Bond. But he decides to swing 8 first. I take the life, and then he plays out the Sabo. And I believe after that hit, I stopped taking hits to life. But this allows him to cycle out his hand and basically put pieces that he needs into the trash. So you do see he puts Fist Luffy in the trash and a Kuzan, which he told me later on after the match was the Kuzan what he was going to do turn 2 until he saw me draw Tashigi. So seeing that Tashigi can definitely change your plans. But here, I do have another Tashigi in hand, and I am going to end up playing it out to give the Sabo a -4 reduction. And obviously, I have to attach a Don to my leader so I can get it down to a complete 0. Or actually, I think I play out a Rebecca, grab a Tashigi 2K from the trash, and play out Brook to give it another -1, and then use a Tashigi to do that trash ability. I do this just so I can grab a 2K from the trash, establish another body, and then now I have a blocker that I don't mind mind trashing or KOing. So, and on top of it, still able to remove the Sabo. Yes, Brook is technically supposed to knock it on KO, but it having the Sabo status effect of nothing can be able to be KO'd the turn it is played. Tashigi is the only way around it. So luckily I had the combo. Worst case is I would have just had to attach a Don the leader and reduce it, but then I would not have been able to play the blocker. So just shows you the different type of lines that you are able to do. But at this point, we are pretty much wide here. If the Rebecca can stick a turn, then it would allow me to be able to put pressure the next turn and not be too afraid of taking life or being too afraid of swinging with what I have on board. But as you see here, he's pretty much mapping out how to be able to get himself to awaken the next turn. And he does Hiyori. Hiyori, he's going to end up putting Egghead Luffy in life. And he's doing this just so he can awaken. But he's also going to play out the Shirahoshi. to reduce. I believe he's going to choose Rebecca, which kind of threw me off a little bit. I kind of figured he would have did a reduction on the TCG just so that I couldn't use it to later swing at him, because if he leaves himself at a 7k leader, TCG is just a 1-down investment to be able to remove, or to be able to at least poke at the leader. But he opts to remove the Rebecca and swing 4 at the Brook. I considered on blocking here and protecting the Brook with my Borsalino, but I was okay with letting it go because I believe I have a Gecko Moria in hand, and I figured I'd just try to play that out next turn instead. And he swings 7 at life, and I block with the Borsalino, give him a 2k. I was also afraid that he would just swing at life, and I didn't want to give him 2 cards to just get out of a leader swing there, when I could have just given him the 2k and a Borsalino block. So he passes the turn over to me, and then this is again where I decide to try to remove the field here. I'm going to attach a Don to my leader, and I'm going to reduce the Shirahoshi by 1. And I'm going to decide to do this because my goal here is to play out a Kobe from my hand. Because I plan on cycling the Rebecca grabbing a 2k, and then again, like I said, playing out the Kobe from hand to popping the Shirahoshi. So you're going to see the reduction happen first, and then I'm going to decide to swing with the TCG first because I'm going to play over the TCG. That was my plan. And you do see he takes the Garp away and he decides to block. Or take it back and block with the Shirahoshi. That was fine with me because my end goal was to get rid of the Shirahoshi regardless. So now my plan changes here because instead of playing out a Kobe, what I'm going to do is just end up grabbing a 2k, not playing anything else. I contemplated on playing the brand new, but I figured, why would I do that when I can keep the Tashigi to put pressure on still? So I end up just swinging 6 with my leader to the Garp and passing turn, because now he is currently at his 10 Don phase, and if I would have swung, he would have taken the swing to leader, and then this would have allowed him to pretty much do what BY wants to do, is Gecko Moria, grab the little babies from the trash, and just start being a 9k leader consistently. But doing it this way, it's going to have to force him to take his own life to be able to do what he wants to do. And it's the smart thing to do, because if he didn't do that, next turn I could put as much pressure on him as I want and basically dwindle his hand size. Because again, Tashigi swinging for 7, I'm going to ask for 2 cards out of his hand. And then I can obviously stack it on Gecko Moria and really, ask for cards there. But he's going to do the right thing. He's trying to figure out the best way to kind of go about it. But obviously the first thing he's got to do is essentially flampe the life, which flampeing there will actually give him a +1. He does lose a 2k, but again, it's more beneficial to be able to use your BY leader ability to get yourself into different plays. Yep. So flampe goes first, takes his life, draws a card, so essentially replacing itself and getting 1 extra card. And then now he's going to be able to do what he wants to do here. But first, plays out 5, I believe, to do a Sabo. Yep, so he's going to draw 2 and trash 2. And I think he's going to trash a Gecko Moria and a Kuzan here. Oh, no, it's a Kuzan. I think double Kuzan here. But I believe there might be 1 Gecko in his trash. So that's something to pay attention to, because BY cannot grab the Gecko Moria back from the trash. So anytime he's discarding one, which you just see him discard right there. So that's 1 Gecko, I believe, maybe 2. But now I know there's only 2 more somewhere in his deck. And then once I get through the 2, then I don't really have to worry about the babies coming back as frequent. But you do see he does do the little baby Sabo. And he's going to filter out his hands even more. So that's the second Gecko right there. So that's 2 Gecko Morias, which if he's trashing Gecko Moria, it shows me that he has another one in hand currently. So that's something that I got to expect for next turn. And he swings big, and I believe he just tried going for the Tashigi. But again, I give him the Rebecca. It's just a cheap block that was able to stick since he did not use Egghead Luffy. So beneficial for me. And now, believe it or not, I believe I have a Tashigi in my hand, which is going to allow me to be able to remove one of these Sabos And at this point, I have to pressure his leader, because if not, he's just going to play out a baby Luffy and start, cycling out as a 9k with 2 life. But I'm going to start off first with swinging 7 with the Tashigi. Am I going to do that first? It's either going to be the 7 or I'm going to play out the Tashigi first. But no matter what, I am going to have to dwindle this. So it's going to be a 7, 7, 7, I believe 9 with the Moria. Yep, so the Tashigi swings first. And essentially I'm asking for a 1k here. I believe he was still at like 8 to 9 cards in hand. So this is where we had to really start pressuring. And then once he countered out with the 1k, I figured right now is a good time to just do the Tashigi, getting rid of one of these Sabos. So one of them got some -4. Leader ability will make it a 0. So my leader sees it, gets the 1k buff, and then the Tashigi will trash it. And now I swing 7 once again with my other Tashigi. And it looks like I was contemplating on whether or not to do 8. But I decided to do 7. And I think I'm going to do 9. So I could do 9, 9. So here, he's going to give me another 1k, I believe. And then when I swing with the Gecko Moria, it's going to require him to have to give me at least 2 cards, a 2k and a 1k, or potentially 3, depending if all he has are 1ks, or the Sabo. So I do swing 9, and he gives me the Sabo blocker, and I swing for another 9 with my leader. And you see there, he does give me 2 cards, which is a 2k and a blocker Nami. And then now he draws for turn, leaving him at 1 life, which is essentially what he wants. I guess he wanted that Fist Luffy there. But if not, it was just for the Moria, which you do see is what they want to do, is try to stay at a 2 life 9k leader. So he does reveal the the Luffy, to bring out the Fist Luffy, buffs his leader up to 7k, but he does have the 2 down, so it would swing for 9. Then does his leader ability, playing out the Sabo at the top, which he reveals it and then plays out, and then gets to cycle his hand here. And again, paying attention to what the BY discards is very essential. I don't think he discarded yet, but I believe this is where he might trash his 3rd Moria. Yep, so that's the 3rd Moria there. So now I know there is no other Gecko Moria in the deck. What is on the field is his one and only that he will play this entire game. And now he's down to 2 cards in hand. So this is exactly where we want him to be at. He ends up swinging, I believe, 11k to the Tashigi, and I let it go. And you do see one of us kick the camera. But I don't want to give him the Borsalino, because the Borsalino, again, cannot be KO'd. And I'd rather have that type of protection there, just in case. And then here, you see me double checking for the Moria, just to make sure that he can't do it again. And I do see the 3 in the trash. And I believe I'm looking for the babies, and I only see the 1, and I forget that he's got 2 underneath his leader. So I was trying to see what I should do or how do I go about this turn. You're going to see one of the biggest misplays that I've made this game towards the end of this turn. I don't want to spoil it yet. But at this point, I'm trying to figure out exactly how to go about removing this blocker, or no, Fist Luffy. Fist Luffy is what I want to remove. And you do see I grab a Rebecca to grab the Tashigi back. And I'm going to play Tashigi over the other Tashigi to give the Fist Luffy -4, attach it down to leader, trash the Fist Luffy. So now it doesn't allow him to swing or get his life out. And here, this is where I should have just passed the turn. Instead, I choose to swing 9 at life, and he takes it. Obviously, that's what he wanted. If I would have not swung and passed the turn, he told me that he had nothing to be able to get himself to awaken. So I honestly goofed that up really bad right there. Goofy goober I am. But yeah, so definitely should have just left him there with the 1 life. And then you're going to see here, I kind of get punished for it, but not severely. He does play out the Nami, which allows him to draw a card since the Moria is on the field. And then he does a 3 Brothers Bond and finds a Luffy. Honestly, I don't think it would have made much of a difference. I think he would have still got there, but it's the fact that he's able to awaken right away. So, I don't know. Honestly, in my opinion, I think it was not the move to do. And you're seeing here why it was the bad thing to do. But he is kind of going through the motions. He has to basically set it up so he can survive the next turn to try to go lethal. But he's going to do Fist Luffy and then Egghead Luffy. And he's going to do it this way just so he can pop the Rebecca and put pressure on my life. So he does reveal the Luffy and pops the Rebecca, leaving himself a 7k. And he decides to, well, the Egghead Luffy has to go to trash. He'll put it there in a second. But he's going to swing with his leader and the Moria to my life. And I'm going to take it all. I figured at this point, I have enough counter to get out of one of the swings. And I have the Borsellino to get rid of the other. But I figured instead of doing that, I'm going to just take the life and see what I can do here. Obviously, since the Sabo wasn't played this turn and he did an Egghead Luffy, the whole board is KO'able. So I do have a way around the stuff because I do have Kobe's in my hand. If I wanted to play it safe, I could have just countered out and gave him a Borsellino. But I figured I would try to bait him in to try to give me everything this turn. And he does have 2. He thought about doing a Sabo, but it would have just left him with 1 card in hand compared to having that extra draw off the Rocket Luffy. And then here, I'm going to tap 3, play out the Kobe, trashing a Sengoku to pop the Nami. Then I'm going to do an Ice Age on the Sabo and KO it with another Kobe. And again, another misplay here by me because I should have attached the Don so that my leader sees the 0 cost of the Sabo. So I could have swung 7 with leader, 7 with the Shigi, 7 with the Shigi, and then get the game win with the Gecko Moria this turn. And you're going to see the misplay here. So I swing 7, it gives me a card. All he has is 1 card left. If my leader would have saw the 0 cost that this turn, I would have been able to finish him off this turn. But I'm going to just swing 7. And he's going to give me the last counter in his hand. And I swing 9 at the Moria. I declare the Moria. He accidentally takes his life. But because he didn't figure I was going to swing at the Moria. But here, I end up winning. If he would have swung big this turn, I would have had the Borsellino to block and counter out of the rest. And we just went through the motions. But yeah, very great game. And as always, if you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you guys would like to see next time, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.